Hey guys, Sebastian here. This time I'm going over the April 3rd weekly update. There's no official update this week, but there's a lot of exciting stuff that happened this week, so I want to go through it with you guys. First things first, I want to talk about Team Bourbaki. So there hasn't been anything official about this team so far, but they've been working on a bunch of cool stuff, so I'm going to go through it with you guys right now. One of them is this Rust Cardano crypto library. So it's an implementation of Cardano while using Rust. And this leads into JS Cardano WASM, which is a WebAssembly binding for the Cardano crypto library, which then leads into this new project that they've recently put up, which is Area DNE, which is a way to leave dateless, and more specifically, they say it's a command line interface to perform actions with Cardano compatible wallet. So I think this all leads to is possibly a web wallet out of this using WASM, possibly. But I think with this JavaScript and Area DNE point to, might be this is related to Ledger support. So this is pretty exciting. If you want to come check this out, this is in the IOHK Rust Cardano crypto library. And you can come check out the code and try and use it for yourself if you're interested. Next up, we're going over Plutus Napkin. So if you don't know what Plutus Napkin is, they've been working on Plutus Core, which is a smart contract language that you're not really supposed to use. It's meant as like a base implementation that you create new languages based off of and connect to it. And a Plutus Napkin is kind of the simplification of the first version of Plutus Core. And they recently put up the Plutus Core spec on GitHub. See, this is just last week. And now you can go into the spec, look at the spec, you can see the machine, the transitions, you can see some of the built-in types, all this kind of stuff. So this is obviously still a work in progress, but pretty exciting to see. Charles also put out a tweet related to Plutus Napkin. You can see a few pictures of a presentation they had on the topic. So there's like some information coming out as to how this works. Next up, for Dataless, we've got a new release coming up, so version 0.10.0. If you're interested in the features, you can come check out this page and see the list of changes. As always, all the videos contain like links to all these pages, so if you go to the YouTube description, you can see all these links. But for example, they have the paper wallets in here, which is pretty exciting. Another thing that a lot of people have been asking for is now passwords are on by default when you create a wallet, so this should hopefully make stuff safer. And they've got asynchronous wallet restoration, is also something that people have been looking forward to. So that's also going to be in the next release. So this is going to be a pretty exciting release, I think. Next up, they've also got the initial testnet installer. So a lot of people have been looking forward to the testnet. It doesn't say which testnet installer this is for, but they're working on a testnet at least, and they're working on an installer for it. This is pretty exciting also. Next up, I just wanted to go through a few bug fixes they've just put out. Not to the official release, but just like on their code base. One of them is like an error message about a bug in the API when you didn't have a correct character set. Another one is filtering non-ASCII names in wallets. That was causing an issue. Like if you had a wallet name something like this, this is causing problems through the API. And they also like patched one of their loggers to correctly work with UTF-8 encoding. So if you had any of these issues with encodings, this may fix some of them. There's still some left. This is like 3 of them that have been fixed. Next up, more exciting, they completed the specification for the wallet. So they added one last section, but that's been done. It's mostly like a cleanup stuff, reorganizing stuff. They added a few like a non-trivial stuff in this pull request, but mostly it's like a cleanup work. You can now go to Cardano, the Cardano documentation to find a full copy of this 35-page specification. So it's pretty exciting, a good read. There's a lot of interesting stuff in here. They still have some pull requests related to now implementing the specification. So I've talked to you guys about the passive layer before in previous videos, and there's just like a more implementation of this passive layer. They're still working on the rollback feature for the inductive wallet. So I've talked about this in previous videos. This is still a work in progress, and they're working on tests for the passive wallet. So now that they've like merged this implementation, they're doing some more tests of the passive wallets. This is all pretty exciting. This is related to like the wallet backend in the roadmap. Next up, we've got some miscellaneous changes. the server-side TLS check that's been in the works for a while. This has been merged. The certificate generation utility is not done yet. This is like a programmer thing. If you're a programmer, you might need to know about this. Otherwise, this is probably not really relevant to you. They've also put up, finished their pull request for benchmarking tools using the Aux. I believe it's using the Aux library, which is like a custom language that Cardano uses to like interface with the node. So if you're interested in like running the benchmarks yourself, you can come check this out. You might have seen in like previous weekly reports, whatever, it's talking about like a benchmarking work. This is one of those things. Next up, they're adding a new endpoint to the API, which is the Unsigned Endpoint. And what this allows you to do is create a transaction but not sign it. That way it can be signed by another device, and then you bring the signed transaction back and then send it. So this is useful for stuff like, possibly hardware wallets, where you might want to create a transaction on a computer, send it to your hardware wallet that's not connected to the internet, sign it there, bring it back to your main computer, and then send out the transaction. So that's maybe what this is for. But this is pretty exciting, unless this is a feature a lot of other wallets have. So now we have this in Cardano. Also, I mean, I shouldn't say we have this yet. It's like still open, still in the works. But it's pretty exciting that this is like coming up. Next up, they're reworking the storage layer. If you've ever looked at the blockchain installed on your computer, you might have noticed there's a bunch of like really small files. This is part of the work to clean that up. Hopefully, with this work, not just this, but more work in the future, the amount of files should be shrinked, so it should make like syncing the blockchain faster, take less space on your computer, just be more efficient in general. And so this is like a progress towards that. They made a few changes to the diffusion layer, which is how peers connect to each other. I'm still not familiar with this, but it's like a mostly cleanup work along with changes mostly just to make this part of the code easier to test. It's not really new features. And that's it for this week. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Kind of a blitz through a bunch of stuff that's been in the work, a lot of very exciting changes. There's no official report this week, as I mentioned, so this is kind of like an unofficial report that I made based on stuff I found was cool. If you want to see more videos in the future, you can find me on Twitter, Reddit, all classic social media. You can subscribe to my channel on YouTube to check out my videos every week, and I've also got my Patreon in the description. Alright, hopefully I'll see you guys next week.